Dennis Cheng here. Welcome to another video. So today is part of the same series where I spend the whole day filming new videos because I'm traveling right now. I think when you see this video, I'm either in Montreal or New York. We'll see. But right now, here, I'm in Tokyo. And today's video is kind of interesting. I wasn't sure if I should make it or not. But it's a video to talk about something rather sensitive. I think there are a lot of players who have ambition, which is very good, something that I very much admire, but they don't really know how to achieve their ambitions. Maybe they think they do, but in actual fact, I know they don't. And I know that they will never achieve those ambitions unless they change X or Y. If there's something I can say that I'm good at, it's that I'm a very realistic person. I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, and I know how to exploit my strengths, take advantage of my strengths. And then with my weaknesses, I know how to choose whether to overcome them or just accept them, because there is no like 100% flawless musician, just like there's no 100% flawless human being, or maybe that's up for debate. Basically, we all have our quirks, and some of the weaknesses that I have not really fully addressed, there are reasons for that. I can make another video about that one day. I can make a lot of videos, but anyway, yes, I'm a very hyper-aware person, and I got to be aware thanks to all the help that I got. And yeah, so today I want to talk about 5 things you got to do to impress your idols. And you won't believe number 5. Like really, number 5 is the most important one. I'm making this video because there was a number of years ago, I played a gig with a famous player. It was a pickup band gig, so it was me as a sideman, and there was other side musicians. And this moment, there was an epiphany from that moment. We were rehearsing, and the famous musician kept giving me crap, which is no problem for me at all. Like, they would give me crap like about all these little details. Oh, don't play like this, play like that, play this. Oh, this is the wrong chord, or no, not wrong chord, but like wrong. Don't use this voicing. Please use this voicing. All right, no problem. Or maybe like you're missing the shots. You're too late. Your timing is not perfect on these shots, this arrangement. And what I would do, I would say, all right, fine, no problem. Okay, give me 5 minutes. No, let's not 5 minutes, but let's finish the rehearsal. I'll make notes. And then in my own time, I would lock myself in the hotel room or whatever and work on all the points that the famous player wanted me to change. I practiced it really, really hard. Took it like a champ. And then next rehearsal, boom, and then the leader would be happy. But I was also very, very upset during the rehearsals, not because I was getting crap, but because while I was getting crap, I was doing way better than the other musicians who they didn't get anything from the famous person. Sometimes I would notice that the other players were playing something wrong, and I tried like very polite, like, hey, shouldn't that note be actually this note? And the leader was like, oh, well, that note works too. But with me being so nitpicky, it's like, hey, why are you being so nitpicky with me? Which I'm totally fine with, but not with them when they're doing far worse than I am. And then I finally understood at the end of the work, the gig and everything. The famous person told me, hey, let's play again sometime, but I don't want to play with those other musicians anymore. They're nice people, but they're not cut for this job. And this was a very revealing moment for me. What was the difference? It was a difference in attitude. I was very willing, and I showed myself very willing to change, to play for the music, to do my best. Whereas the others, in the beginning, they were saying, "Oh, we're actually not so good. You know, we're very nervous. Please be kind to us. Blah 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 blah." Whereas me, I didn't outright say it, but I was like, "Yeah, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. You know, just tell me." There's a difference in attitude, and so the I got a lot of crap during the rehearsals, and the leader was always very nice to the other musicians, super nice, super polite, and so that it made them very comfortable, made them very happy. But in the end, I get to work with the player again, and they will never play with that famous player again. They'll be friends, but they will never work together again. And how powerful is that? So this is why I'm making this video. I think there are a lot of players who are not aware of their level. And it's perfectly normal, because it's hard to be aware. It's not always easy to know yourself really, really well. For me, it took a lot of training, a lot of help, because I certainly had my share of Dunning-Kruger in the beginning. But working with all these players who are always very brutally honest with me has made me more and more realistic over the years. That is one of the main reasons why I've been able to work with all these players. But point number 5 is the more important one. So let's get started. Point number 1. Point number 1 is to support me. It's actually not point number 1, but as you all know, this is one of my only sources of income. The pandemic changed my life. It turned my life upside down, as I'm sure it did for many of you. But I don't really play gigs anymore. It's the inflation. It's insane. It's better for me to make a living with the online thing. And if you guys can you can subscribe. I don't have Patreon or anything, but you can support me by buying music on Bandcamp, or you can buy a course on DC Music School or on SoundSlice. Just please check them out, or just like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. It makes a huge difference with the YouTube algorithm. It promotes my videos. It gets me more subscribers, and then I actually make money from advertisements. So anyway, there we go. Thank you so much. Point number 1, and I actually wrote things down this time. I don't have a script, but I have like bullet points. So here, this video is about being aware of yourself as a musician, but I have this title like how to impress your favorite musicians, assuming that your favorite musicians are like top tier level players, and how to maybe one day get hired by them. In no particular order, except the very last one, number 5. Number 1, the one thing that I noticed about the highest level musicians, you have to understand they have somehow, either consciously or subconsciously, developed their listening skills to an extremely high level. For example, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. You must have family members or friends who are not musicians at all, and they probably talk to you about music in kind of like a childlike way, and they don't hear what you hear. I'm sure you guys know that feeling. Well, the super top level musicians feel the same way about the average musician. And that's probably why these musicians got so very good. Their listening skills is at a completely other level. They can hear all the little subtle things, the subtle but super important things that ultimately made them what they are. If you watched my interview with Biré Legren that I posted this past summer, we talked a little bit about that. There are a lot of things he will actually want to share, but as he says in the video, he's a very nice guy and he won't say it. And privately, we've had a lot of conversations about this with Birele, with Sylvain Luc. We had like lots of interesting conversations about the things that they could hear, and actually that to a certain extent that I could hear too, even though I'm not as good at them. Like I said, I should probably make a video about why I'm not so good. But if there is one thing I'm good at, is that I've trained my ears to hear subtle things as well. But yes, all this to say, these players have a very strong BS detector, at least when it comes to listening to their own instrument. They will hear if your playing is fake or not. They will catch onto every little detail that you do, things that you yourself may not even be aware that you're doing. And two things will happen. If somehow they see you as sincere and truly wanting to learn, maybe, just maybe, and hopefully, they will be honest with you. Maybe even brutally honest with you. And if they do that, it's actually one of the greatest lessons that you can receive. Because in my experience, a lot of times, great players can be sometimes polite and just do that thing that I mentioned in the beginning, that story. Just be nice to you, but all right, whatever. This person's not worth my time. I'm never going to play with them. Let's just be friends. So the first point is you need to develop a sense of self-awareness and a sense of, I guess, sincere humility. Show people somehow that you truly want to grow. And sometimes it's not through words that you show this, but through actions. And it's the same for me. Not that I'm at the same tier as those people, but like I said, I do believe that maybe my ears are not as good as theirs in terms of listening to subtle details, but I would dare say that it's very, very, very high. When I was stuck in Taiwan during the pandemic, I was paying attention to a lot of the young players. I very carefully observed the players who I felt had true potential. Everyone was actually talented, but some people, through their actions, I knew would get good. And what are these actions? These are the ones who showed up to all the gigs, to all my gigs, to all the gigs of other players, good players, and they would go to jam sessions, try to meet people, and I was right. These people are the ones who are actually progressing. Those are the people that I would invite over to hang out, to chill, and jam. Show through your actions that you have a sincere desire to get better. Work on your fundamentals. Go to jam sessions, go to gigs, be receptive to critiques from, and think about the critiques. Maybe sometimes the critiques are really dumb, but if a lot of really good players are giving you the same critiques, then maybe it's true. But if it's only one and out of like 10, maybe you can ignore it. It depends. And actually, very recently, someone interviewed me for like a PhD thesis or something. I don't know, some PhD project. Maybe you're watching this video. And they asked me something similar recently. Sometimes you go to these big festivals where there are lots of really amazing players jamming. And it's possible to watch them play from like 5 feet away. Yet maybe 30 feet away, you have all these players, like not younger, but not as good players, completely ignoring the super good players and just jamming themselves. I've seen this at jam sessions when there were like super good players, like at jam sessions, okay, you have the not so good players playing, they play their song. Then the super good musicians go on stage, and the not so good players, instead of watching, they go outside to have a smoke or have a drink and chill with their friends. This is what I'm talking about. These are missed opportunities, and I pay attention to such things. Because there's actually, I remember talking to some famous players. I taught them, how was it when you were kids? Oh man, I used to go see this player all the time, and I just watch them and like try to absorb what I could. Or this one guy, he was in Australia. George Benson apparently had like a residency, played a week, and he drove all the way across Australia just to spend 1 week front row seat watching George Benson. And this player today is an amazing, amazing jazz guitar player. That's what they all have in common, this really sincere desire to get better. They would go attend sessions or watch or ask questions, try to hang out with the best players. This is the attitude that you need. I pay attention. I'm a very astute observer. Like when I see super amazing music happening on stage and I see the other not so good musicians like completely ignoring it, I know. Point number 1, sincerity, self-awareness. Self-awareness to know your true strengths and your true weaknesses. And not many people know this. Point number 2, be fundamentals. And this varies from style to style, or instrument to instrument, or role to role. It's kind of like the same point as point number 1. A lot of the best players notice these subtle things. And actually, for many players, fundamentals are things that are very, very easy to overlook. And there's so much to say about this that I can make another entire video and go at length, talk at length about this. Things like dynamics, time feel, musicianship. Every musician has different expectations, but personally, from experience, the super high level musicians are not impressed by whether you can do complex things. Because like I said, these people have a strong BS detector. They will hear if your complex thing is done in good taste or not, or whether it's even well done or not. At best, it's well done, but done in poor taste, so they're not going to be interested in working with you. At worst, it's poorly done and also done in poor taste. Well done, but in poor taste, like for example, a drummer like playing like as if they were a soloist, playing all over everyone, playing super loud. They can probably playing in time, but that pisses off a lot of players. Of course, poor taste, good taste is very subjective. But in general, I would say that a lot of really high level musicians are very conscious about the group effort of music making and the ability to make music as a group. What are you contributing to this experience? What purpose does it serve? Does it serve the music? For example, if you're a bassist and you're playing bebop music and you start playing like complex over the bar line rhythms, all these substitutions and all that stuff, was that really necessary for the music? Quite a lot of the times, statistically, it's not. This is an example of a very high-level instrumentalist, but a bad musician. I once went to this jam session. This drummer, my goodness, was playing the weirdest things. Like, at first I thought he was playing random things, like completely out of time, but I concentrated and I realized everything that he played was actually in time, perfectly in time. Well, not perfectly, but like in time. But putting all the accents in the weirdest spots, like there was no way to feel the beat based on their playing. They might as well have been playing random things. But yeah, I bet in that drummer's head, he thought he was being super, super, super hip. But in truth, he was pissing everyone off. Really, sometimes these musicians, I want to get into their head to think what they're thinking. Do they really think they're contributing to the music? Do they really think they're hip? I don't know. Like I said, my experience working with or talking to really high level players, they absolutely hate that. What is your role as a musician? Are you accompanying or are you trying to be a soloist? I think the term interactive, especially in jazz music, they always tell you to be interactive, but I think it's a word that has been twisted and taken way out of context to the point where it's killing the music. I think it's definitely possible to be interactive without getting in the way, but that's another topic. But listen to Wes's album with Live at the Half Note with Wynton Kelly. So Wes on guitar and Wynton Kelly on piano, and the way they complemented each other, never got in each other's way. And the drummer, Jimmy Cobb, like, he kept things simple. He was interacting, but not interacting in the sense that Wes would do something and he would copy immediately. No, he knew the importance of contrast, how two things that are different work together to make something beautiful. Whereas a lot of times now, it's like a puzzle piece. Two puzzle pieces that are different but fit together. Whereas today, when people mean interaction, you have one puzzle piece and say, hey, I have the same puzzle piece. I have the exact same one. So it doesn't fit together. It's not making the picture. And so this interaction thing is like salt and pepper. It's about knowing when to put it and why you put it here in this moment. And the same thing when you play gypsy jazz. To be very honest, I don't like going to gypsy jazz sessions. It's a little bit cocky, but if I don't live in Europe, I don't know why I never lived in Europe. I love Europe, but I never lived there. But if I lived in Europe, I could be working with all my favorite gypsy jazz players, because I know it's true. I know so because whenever I go there, they call me up for gigs. They call me up like right away. Hey, you're coming down. Let's play a gig together. Let's record an album together. Let's do this. Yet I chose to live here in Japan because I guess I really love Japan. But anyway, what I meant to say is I'm very spoiled. I get to work with, if I lived in Europe, I get to work with the absolute best where you can make the most beautiful music together. Then outside of that circle, it's like flying first class, then suddenly having to fly economy. Very cocky thing to say, sorry, but it's kind of how I feel about a lot of gypsy jazz sessions. I only like gypsy jazz sessions if I'm working with people who are, point number one, sincere and willing to work. Here in Tokyo, there are some dudes that I really love playing with. They're not famous, but they're great. They are great musicians. Why? Because they are willing to work on things together. We learn songs, we try new ideas together. That I'm willing to do. But the average gypsy jazz jam session often bores me, or I do it for social reasons, just to be social with people. And the reason it bores me because a lot of the times people are not paying attention. And for me, it's a little bit of a frustrating experience because I'd be providing perfect rhythm. This is something that I'm very, very confident about. Rhythm guitar, swing rhythm guitar. And then when it's my turn to solo, like it's speeding up slow or slowing down so much, or it's so loud, or the rhythm player thinks they're being super hip, like, doing things like these things, even if it's in time. My God, there's a reason. If you listen to all the best players like Biré Legrand, Rocky Gresset, Stokil Rosenberg, all the Angelo Bar, listen to the rhythm section. They don't do anything like that. Why are you doing something like that? Here's another thing. Notice that when you go to like gypsy jazz festivals, a lot of the super good players are playing only in a tight group with a select few musicians, because they do not enjoy that situation of being in that situation. How many jam sessions can you find of the top players playing with players who are doing that kind of rhythm? Practically none. And I still do it sometimes, again, just to be a social. I'm a social person. I like to be nice. But to be honest, it gets to me sometimes. Dynamics. Top tier players are so dynamically aware. If you're a drummer, just bang out super loud while the soloist has a soft touch, like an acoustic guitar. Well, the music is going to suck. No matter how much in time you are, it kills the groove. It's the same if you play gypsy jazz. If you're playing super loud, all over the place dynamically, this is one thing that gets so overlooked. Time feel is another one that gets overlooked. A lot of the super high level players have this in common, an acute sense of time perception. Guys like Sylvain Luc, Biré Legrand, Rocky Gresset are so freakishly aware of time feel. Even though for them it's at the subconscious level, but they can definitely hear what they like and they don't like. And actually, in private, we have these conversations where they're being super honest, like, that time feel sucks. That time feel sucks. That's a very bad time feel. This is one thing that's so overlooked. A lot of people are not aware about how bad their time feel is. They have no clue because no one ever told them. And for me, it was the same. No one ever, well, a lot of people told me how bad my time was over the years. And it's something that I worked on so much, and I keep working on it. It's still my weakness, but I'm so conscious about it. And what made me so happy is when people tell me, hey, Dennis, your time feel improved, your time feel improved. Like, because I'm aware, and it's thanks to the negative feedback that I got over the years that I still work on it today. It's not easy to change one's time feel. It's super hard. That's another topic we can talk about it another time. And that is, time feel is especially annoying when it comes to rhythm guitar. It's like if you can't control your time feel, if you're rushing too much or you're dragging too much, it's just not fun at all. And then when it comes to like lead playing, like in gypsy jazz guitar, for example, a lot of guitarists tend to have very good technique. They can play really fast, but a lot of them are rushing so hard. They have no idea. Now, a bit of a push is not necessarily a bad thing, but some people will just over-exaggerate that push, and it doesn't always sound so great. And like I said, they're probably super not aware of this. And then in Gypsy Jazz, he may even bring the topic of Angelo DeBar, who a lot of people know he likes it when the rhythm section pushes really, really hard. But get this, when the rhythm section pushes really hard, he actually feels relaxed and his timing is actually a little bit laid back. So he's still very aware. He's aware of the kind of rhythm section he wants. He wants the music to be super pushy in the rhythm section, but as a lead player, when he feels comfortable, he's actually laid back. I remember being in the studio with Rocky Gresset, and he was just being so hard on himself. He would play always so well, but he would say, kind of do another take. I feel like I'm rushing too much. I feel like I need to be more relaxed. He was always talking about time feel. That's all was always on his mind. Time feel, time feel, time feel. It's that important. You know, when it comes to time feel, as a teacher, there are not many people. There are only 2 people with whom I've been willing to share all the secrets. Those guys are Will Dickerson and Zach Martel, who are so eager to want to learn how to provide really, really solid accompaniment. And we worked really hard together, and I rewarded them with the opportunities to work with famous players like Will. He got to go on tour with Charles Limburger. Zach Martel, we recorded an album with Duved. I got him to play with Samson Schmidt. Who else? I don't know. We were supposed to go on tour with Chavalo Schmidt, but then Corona happened. With them, we worked so much on the subtle details of accompaniment, because I love accompaniment. It's one of my favorite things. I feel more confident as an accompanist than as a solo. Soloing for me is a hobby. It's just so I don't really care about being so good. But as a rhythm guitarist, I'm super hard on myself, and I can be very, very hard on others as well if I see that they're willing to work on it. This is something that you learn through developing a high sense of observation. And when I share these things with players, it just depends on how sincere they are about really wanting to do this well. Here's the thing. Okay, I said I'm very confident about my accompaniment, but that doesn't mean that I think I know everything. No, there's still things to learn. And when I work with new artists, I'm always very receptive to how they want me to accompany. There are so many feels out there, so many sounds. And I've worked so much on these different sounds to give them what they want. Some people are not particular, some are very, very particular. And so I've learned to play accompany in so many different ways thanks to these experiences, thanks to these players. Number 3, the ability to learn and adapt. You don't want to waste people's time. One reason why a lot of people love to work with me as an accompanist is because I learn extremely, extremely fast. I talked about that in last week's video, so you should watch it. But I often don't need charts or at least for Gypsy Jazz, like songs are so simple, like I just have to hear it once, or even as we just have to start playing the song, and by the second or third chorus, I probably have it memorized. At the beginning of the year, I memorized Vaval Adler's entire repertoire with all the arrangements, with all the shots in one single afternoon. We went to the studio and boom, 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 boom. And here, let's make a little test. I'm going to play a song that you probably do not know because it's a Gypsy gospel tune. I'm going to play it for you, and I guess I'm going to censor the guitar. And it goes like this. See if you can catch this in one shot. It's in the key of D, and it starts on a G major chord. So this one's going to be easy. I just played the first half of the song. Can you get this in one shot? Pause the video. Try it again if you didn't get it. And I'm going to tell you what I played. I played G major 7, A7, F sharp minor, B minor, E minor, A7, D, D7. The same thing again. Let's try something else a little bit harder. I'm going to make something up, but it's very typical in the, I guess, Gypsy swing style or swing music style. In the key of C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause the video, see if you can get it. All right, what did I do? C, A flat 7, C, A7, D7, G7, C over E, E flat diminish, G7 over D. And the second time around it's the same thing, but I did the resolution faster. The super good players learn extremely fast as well. And when they have a very high standard, they want to be working with players where they don't have to rehearse too much. And for things like this, they expect you to, if you're playing songs that are like common songs, they expect you to know the repertoire right away, or be able to learn it in one listen, 2 at most. There's a gig I did with Birel Legren. We had a set list, and we're playing like in front of like a big hall, a prestigious hall in Quebec City with 1,000 people. I was playing rhythm guitar. I have a video of this somewhere. But he completely deviated from the style. He started with a little chord melody solo guitar thing, and he started playing a song that I had probably only played once many years ago. It was, I forget the name of the song. That Lady is a Tramp. And I relied on my knowledge of the melody to kind of harmonize on this pason. And it was happening. This is not a rehearsal. We were playing live, and I just had to just follow. And I listened very carefully to the melody that he was playing, and relied a lot of my experience about this style, about swing music, about jazz chord progressions. And what's a bit difficult about this song is that the form is not your typical AABA form, like with the same structure as all these other songs. There's a little twist here. But by I think the third chorus, I managed to get it. And I don't think anyone in the audience noticed it, because the chords that I didn't know how to play, I managed to do X chords, or I played something that was kind of like gray area-ish, and I played softly. But then once I was very confident about what chords really fit, I start playing. Boom. That's what I mean. You have to be able to learn very, very fast. Don't waste people's time. Point number 4, well, it's kind of related to all these previous points. It's about understanding the music, the listening skills, the harmony. That when you really understand the music, then you can manipulate it in such a way that you serve the music and you're playing in a organic way. Let me give you an example of not understanding the music. Like if you play swing music, a lot of the times the bass lines are quite accented, and sometimes depends on the tempo, depends on the performance. Like it can get staccato, and sometimes when I play with bassists who it's obvious they have no idea how to play this music, I would just give them some, hey, actually, generally speaking, it should be this way. And then okay, they take that advice and they play the entire concert only that one way. And by doing it only that one way, it makes the music so stiff, because it's a general thing. It's a general advice that I gave them, but you have to understand the music to know when to do it and when not to do it. And if you do it only that way, it kind of kills the vibe. That's what I mean by not understanding the music. Or if I gave you the chart to this song called Doxy, a lot of times the chart will say something like this. Right? But you should probably know that these are all passing chords. You can probably just do, does it start on B flats? I'm sorry, I forget. Right? When you see a chart, you should know what are the important chords, what are the passing chords, what can be changed, why it can be changed, and all that stuff. That is what I mean by understanding the music. And then you use your listening skills to adjust the music, especially in jazz music, because it's alive, you're interacting but not getting in the way. You're doing these little subtle things. That is what I mean. Listen, yesterday, actually, I just want to talk about, I went to this jam session in Tokyo. The very last song, after an entire night playing with really bad musicians, this really good bass player showed up. We're playing with singer. She wanted to sing Sunny Side of the Street in G. The bass player hadn't played that song in a long time. And so the first A, He wasn't sure what to play, but I gave him hints. Then by the second night, boom, he nailed it. And then since it's Sunny Side of the Street has a swing kind of feel, I started at one point started playing like this. And the bass player heard me change the sound and started doing something that complemented that so well. I was super impressed. This is someone who understands the music, rather than a bass player that just does the thing that they know how to do because it's the only thing they know how to do. Understanding the music. All right. Point number 5, the most important point. Despite all this, all these things which are really important, nothing is as important as being someone that is likable. You have to be a fun person, you yourself. Sometimes people will hire musicians who may not be as good as X or Y person, but they hire the other one because they're so much more fun to be with. And it's the same for me. Sometimes I have the opportunity of taking like a dream team of like super high caliber music, but no, I take someone else because they're so much fun. As long as, you know, they're decent, they do the job well enough, then I take that person because they're so much fun to be with. You have to be very good, but you don't necessarily have to be that good. And a lot of these players, so how did I get that Birelli gig? It's actually Birelli told his manager that there was a guy in Canada he wanted to meet. No, it wasn't exactly like that, but he told me, like, you know, like in my family they talk a lot about you, you know, like you kind of understand our language and everything, and I wanted to meet you, so I'm really happy that we get to play. And then one day Birelli called me again. Hey, it'll be cool if we can play again one day, you know, like call me if you can find like a someone who can organize a tour or something. Well, so I'm very appreciative of that, but to be honest, I'm not interested in like organizing tours or anything like that. If I get to play with him again, like officially, like in a tour, great. If not, it's okay. And the same thing with a lot of like players, like Rocky Ress is a very close friend of mine. We talk to each other as friends first and foremost, rather than colleagues. And when I go to a lot of these gypsy camps in Europe, we hang out. We're not really talking about, you know, we talk about music, but we're not the nerdy thing. We just hang, we're eating, we're chilling as friends. And they ask, hey, let's play together, let's do a gig. You want to do a gig? Let's, you know, being a fun person. There we go. It was a long video, but hopefully it gives you something to think about. Let me know your thoughts. Are you angry at me for saying all these harsh truths? One day I'll make a video about why I'm actually not such a great musician. Well, no. I think I'm actually a pretty decent musician, but I'm not. There are certain things that I'm not good at. But despite having the knowledge to get really, really good, why am I not so good? That's actually a very interesting video that I could make one day.